Okay, let's talk about something that drives every traveler a little crazy. You find that perfect flight, the price looks great. You think, I'll just book it tomorrow. You come back and bam, the price has jumped. It is so frustrating, right? It really makes you wonder what is going on behind the scenes.
So, the number one theory, the one we all jump to, is that the airlines are watching us. That every single time you search for that flight, their computers are logging it and bumping up the price just for you, because they know you're interested. It feels personal, doesn't it? But is that what's really happening?
Well, let's just put that myth to bed right now. Travel experts like Katie Nostro are clear on this. There is just no real evidence to suggest that's happening. So if it's not some big conspiracy against your search history, then what in the world is causing these wild price swings? Well, the truth is actually way more fascinating.
It really all comes down to a super complex, high-stakes business strategy. You got to think of it like this. Airlines are constantly playing a sophisticated game to fill every seat on every flight for the absolute maximum profit they can get.
And the name of that game is called yield management. Now, it's a fancy term, but the idea is simple. An airline seat is what you'd call a perishable good. Just like a banana, it has an expiration date. The second that plane door closes and it takes off, any empty seat on that plane is suddenly worth zero. Yield management is the science airlines use to make sure that doesn't happen by constantly tweaking prices to squeeze every last cent out of that flight.
And this right here is the fundamental problem they're trying to solve. On any flight, you've basically got two kinds of people. You have your go-at-any-price traveler. This is your business person who absolutely has to be in that meeting tomorrow and will pay whatever it costs. And then you have your go-if-the-price-is-right traveler. That's probably most of us, the vacationers who are only going to click buy if they find a good deal. The airline's entire goal is to get the most money possible from both groups on the very same flight. So this is the main thing to remember. The price change you see, it's not a personal attack on you or your vacation plans. It's just the output of a giant automated strategy that's trying to balance these different types of travelers to make sure the airline wins. Okay, so how does it actually work? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the real things that these systems are using to change the price you see from one minute to the next. It all starts with something called the fare bucket system. So imagine the seats on a plane aren't all one price. They're split into different buckets, each with its own price tag. Maybe the first, cheapest bucket has 10 seats for $109. As soon as those 10 seats are sold, that bucket is empty, and the price automatically, instantly, jumps up to the price of the next bucket. That's why a price can change in the 5 minutes it takes you to grab your credit card. Someone else just bought the last cheap seat. And managing all of this, of course, are incredibly powerful algorithms. These things are working 24/7, watching a ton of different factors. They're looking at how fast a flight is selling, what other airlines are charging, how many days are left until the flight, if there's a big holiday or Super Bowl coming up. All of this data gets fed into the machine, which then decides whether to open up more cheap buckets or close them off. You know, a really good way to think about it is to compare it to the stock market. Seriously, the price of an airline ticket isn't a fixed thing. It's constantly fluctuating based on supply and demand, just like a share of stock. When you buy a ticket, you're basically buying a share of that flight at whatever its market price is at that exact moment. But it's not just what's happening inside the airline's computers. Huge events out in the real world have a massive impact too. Organizations like IATA, which is basically the big trade group for airlines, they track all this stuff. And their data paints a really clear picture of how global events can hit you right in the wallet. I mean, just look at what happened after the pandemic. We all remember that sticker shock when we started traveling again. This chart is so revealing. You can see that, yes, airfares went up by about 15%. But now look at that first bar. The price of jet fuel exploded, going up by an insane 92%. Airlines had no choice but to pass some of that enormous cost increase on to us. And don't underestimate how big a deal fuel is. For most airlines, fuel can be anywhere from a quarter to almost a third of their total operating costs. So when that price nearly doubles, you're going to feel it. Okay, so that's the system. That's the game they're playing. Now for the important part. How can we play it better? Knowing how it all works is your secret weapon. Let's get into some real strategies. First up, and this is the big one, flexibility is your best friend. Since it's all about supply and demand, the easiest way to save money is to fly when nobody else wants to. We're talking Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we're talking the off-season instead of the middle of July. And hey, don't forget to check prices for smaller nearby airports. It can make a huge difference. Your timing is also totally critical. There really is a sweet spot. For flights within the country, you're looking at about 1 to 3 months ahead of time. For international, give yourself a bit more room, maybe 2 to 8 months. And whatever you do, avoid booking at the very last minute. That's when the airlines jack up the prices for those desperate go-at-any-price business travelers we talked about earlier.
And finally, you have to fight technology with technology. Use tools like Google Flights to instantly compare all your options. This is a must. Then, set up price alerts for the trip you want. These trackers will do the work for you, and they'll shoot you an email the second the price drops, so you can swoop in and grab that deal.
So, we've busted the big myth, we've peeked behind the curtain at the algorithms and the market forces, but what does the future hold?
Here's the thing. The AI that drives all this pricing is only getting smarter and more powerful every single year. So, the big question for all of us travelers is, will our strategies be enough to keep up? Or are we heading into a future where, in this complex pricing game, the machine always wins? Definitely something to think about next time you're searching for flights.